Cincinnati exclusive buyer's agency representation agreement. If you're looking for the one that is address only, that is not this document. This is going to be an exclusive BA agreement between a buyer and a buyer's agent for a period of time. And so we'll just jump right into it. So section 1 talks about the people involved. In line 2, that's where you're going to put the buyer's name. Line 3 is Remax Alliance. Line 4 is the agent for Remax Alliance. And line 8 is the commencement date or the start date. And line 9 is the expiration date, otherwise known as the end date. And so it talks about in this paragraph that I'm in line 12. Buyer agrees that the licensed salesperson and buyer brokerage are each hereby appointed to act as real estate broker for the buyer during the term of this agreement. So it goes on and on from there. Section 2, it talks about the duties of a salesperson and how you're to, in essence, practice utilizing what you've been taught in your license, code of ethics, and such. But let me go through some of these. Line 19, making a diligent attempt to identify real estate suitable for the buyer based on their criteria. Line 20, assisting the buyer in negotiating offers, counter offers, and proposals. Line 21, presenting all offers in writing or otherwise, and counter offers in a timely manner. 22, keeping confidential information received with buyer is confidential unless disclosure is permitted by Ohio law or buyer's consent. Line 24, disclosing all material facts pertaining to the physical condition of the property of which the licensed salesperson has actual knowledge that the buyer would not discover by a reasonably diligent inspection. Line 26, accounting is a timely manner of all monies and personal property received in which the buyer has or may have interest. Line 28, follow any lawful instructions of buyer. It's an interesting one, but the key word is there, lawful. Line 29, advising buyer to obtain expert advice related to material facts when necessary or appropriate. Many instances we need to refer people to an expert, just like an attorney. Exercising, in line 31, exercising reasonable skill and care in representing the buyer and carrying out responsibilities of the agency relationship. So that's that. Section 3 are the duties of the buyer. So during that time, during the term of the agreement, the buyer shall work exclusively with Remax Alliance for the purchase of real estate and will immediately identify themselves as represented buyer clients to the buyer brokerage at any time when communicating about or viewing real estate, including but not limited to attending open houses, visiting a builder's model home or construction site, talking with for sale by owner, or to any other licensee. Buyer agrees to cooperate with buyer brokerage in its dealings with Remax Alliance and its licensees, and to assure personal and financial information. Long and the short is, this is a powerful paragraph of which you need to take the time to read not only this paragraph, but you need to read the others as well. Line 43, buyer is confirming or has not confirmed that they have not entered into a BA agreement with any other real estate brokerage. Buyer investigation, section 4. This says buyer acknowledges that neither buyer or buyer brokerage nor the licensees within the brokerage shall make any representations or warranties. So this is a kind of a disclosure, if you will. Agency, section 5. Again, we're not filling out anything here. It talks about that we're working on their behalf. Section 6 is fair housing. That hasn't changed, so that we don't need to go into that. Section 7, contemporaneous offers. Easy for me to say. In that section, that's as we're talking about multiple offers. So Ohio law permits real estate agents to represent more than one buyer at a time to show these buyers to the same properties. In some instances, more than one buyer represented by the same real estate agent may want to make an offer. This is referred to as contemporaneous offer. If it occurs, Ohio law requires that RE/MAX Alliance to notify the buyer in writing, verbally if written notification cannot be provided in a timely manner. If the buyer is notified that a contemporaneous offer or situation exists, buyer may request to be referred to another licensee within the brokerage. Section 8, anything bold in capital is extremely important. Legal notice regarding compensation, broker fees, compensations are hereby set by law and are fully negotiable and may be paid by the seller, the buyer, the landlord, the tenant, or a third party, or by sharing or splitting the fees and compensations between brokers. Section 9A, B, and C are fill in the blanks. Section 9A would be a dollar amount and or a percent. Section B would be in reference to a retainer. If you put something in Section 9B, what that is saying below is that amount would be deducted from whatever you put in 9A at the time of closing. You may have a need for 9C, and it's important to point out in line 91 through 92 that if you leave 9A, B, and C blank, those fields will be construed as zero or not applicable for the method of compensation. Again, lines 93 through 98 are important. At the direction of the buyer, RE/MAX Alliance may seek such compensation from the listing broker or the seller in order to offset any and all compensation otherwise due the buyer under this agreement. It's a powerful sentence. I think that's going to be key to part of your negotiation. Line 100 is defaulted to 90 days if left blank, and it just basically says that if this buyer were to go purchase a property that you procured during the time frame that you had a BA agreement, that you could be entitled to commissions at that point. Section 10 is kind of a catch-all if there's any other terms or conditions that you need to work with. Section 11 and 12, governing laws are within Ohio. Section 12 talks about the use of electronic signatures. Section 13 it's an indemnification paragraph, and so again you can read through that. That stuff hasn't changed. Buyer's acknowledgement. Buyer acknowledges that in line 134, buyer acknowledges that a seller or its representative may not treat the existence, terms, conditions of any offers are confidential unless they are confidentially agreed between the buyer and the seller. So that's kind of an acknowledgement that the buyer is making on behalf of the contract. And then there's a section there for 2 buyer signatures, and then lastly filled out by the agent that represents the brokerage.